When it comes to filming content, multiple different angles are so important for keeping people's attention, especially in the fast-paced world of short-form content. I'm a long-form girly. My content is always going to be longer than 15 seconds. And for that very reason, I need to be able to move my camera into beautiful different positions that help enunciate the story that I am telling. Being able to quickly shift your point of view when you are filming yourself in your content is a huge way to keep viewer engagement. I make a lot of my content entirely by myself. In fact, I would hazard a guess and say 95% of my content is entirely myself, except of course for Mr. Biscuits. That means I've got no extra people, no extra eyes, and most importantly, no extra hands. The most obvious question you might have is how to film yourself without a tripod. And for the type of content that I make, selfie shots aren't necessarily what I'm going for. Ideally, I want establishing shots. I want zoomed in shots. I want far away shots. I want shots that help me tell a story. That's honestly where small portable devices like this one come in handy. This is the Telesin Magnetic Suction Cup Mount. With a 3 kilogram vertical pull force resistance, this mount is ideal for filming in really compact spaces that are just entirely unsuitable for a tripod. Compatible with any MagSafe phone or case, or magnetic camera case, it even has space for a pop socket. I travel a lot and I find tripods can often be really bulky and cumbersome, especially if I need to limit the weight of gear I have with me. And sometimes you just don't want to reach for that heavy backpack full of everything. This little nifty suction cup device allows this strong magnetic mount to be attached to almost any shiny flat surface. I've actually found it really useful for setting up shots in front of natural light, like hotel windows, or even in my car. Currently you are stuck to my passenger window, which back in the day this would have been quite a difficult setup to do. You would have had to have all sorts of pulleys and levers to create a stabilized motion whilst filming someone drive. But having something small and magnetic that you can just stick to almost any surface that's particularly flat and perhaps a little bit shiny, I've personally found helps create unique shots that not a lot of other people are going to have in their content. And if there's anything you want when you are a content creator, it is to be unique. One of the most important parts about filming yourself is deciding your shot. And that will change depending on what kind of content creator you want to be. Are you into cinematography? Are you into travel content? Or are you just trying to make gorgeous bijou vlog style content for your YouTube audience? The reality is that nobody else can tell you the answer to that question. But what I can do in this video is give you some of my favorite tricks to remember when filming content. I think I can probably distill my current experience with filming engaging content down to a few easy to remember tips. And I'm going to start with filming B-roll. It's always good to remember to get multiple angles, and I'd probably say that 2 different angles that you can switch between is good. Ideally you want 3 or 4 as that works best. The more angles you have means the more footage you have to pull a stronger storyline together in the edit. There's nothing worse than that feeling of, oh, I wish I'd filmed that section for 2 or 3 seconds longer to really make this point hit home. I think my second tip is going to be to remember to put your camera down. Not all of your shots should be framed at eye level. Don't be afraid of putting your camera on the ground and filming yourself doing something. And even at table level is great for things like restaurant content. Next is framing. I mentioned earlier that some of the kind of scenes I want in my content are establishing shots, zoomed in shots, and also far away shots. Now with this one, we're almost getting a little bit film school, because how you frame a shot is key to how a story is told. Let's say you're doing some travel content and you want to show just how vast something is in comparison to you. Then you need to make sure that when you're in the frame, you are very, very small and somewhere near the bottom of the frame. Or do you want to show a moment of thoughtfulness or pensivity? Something a bit like, she's off on an adventure, but nobody knows where she's going. Then it helps to place your camera somewhere safely away from you and walk around the frame. Or do you want to show yourself doing something? Then you need to ask yourself which part of the frame is more important, yourself or what you're actually doing? Lastly, and possibly one of the most important tips to remember, is to film a few leading sentences in every scene or location that you're at. Open-ended sentences can really help join together otherwise unrelated sections without having to use excessive editing later. A few examples of this can be things like, "and that's why," or "I've often found that," or even, "and you need this because." Each of these sentences can lead anywhere and into many other forms of content or even locations, and that way you won't cause yourself as much of a headache in the edit. The amount of times I haven't done this because I've been distracted or just forgotten for some reason, and later on during editing I'm like, I wish I had a sentence that joined these two things together without having to rely on some AI magic. And if you want to grab yourself the Telesin magnetic mount, then I do have an affiliate link in my description box below, and you can use code Luxeria for 10% off your order. Huge thank you to Telesin for gifting me this mount. And there we have it, my loves. These are some easy to remember but key important points to making your content look more effective. I want to leave today's video on a little bit of a philosophical note. The only way you're going to get better at doing something is to continually do it, almost until you are completely sick of doing it. Although I've been a YouTuber for 16 years, this style of content on this new channel is still quite new to me. I'm very good at being in a studio environment, knowing my lighting setups, knowing what lenses I need to use to create the outcome that I want, and knowing how to be engaging just by myself in front of practically a grey wall. I know that in maybe a year or so time, I'm gonna look back at this video and think, wow, I've accumulated so many more little tips and technical knowledge and know-how to make even more effective content than I did back then. And if there's anything that you can take from this video today, I want you to know that it's okay to grow and it's okay to make mistakes whilst learning. And with that, my little tech heads, I'll see you in the next video.